Peace and blessings, family.
Peace and blessings,
It's on once again. It's yours truly, Amar Mari and Queen
Amani Amari
in the building one more time. We thank you all for hanging in there with us. Thank you for tuning in for your Power Couple Mental Fitness Program. Okay, sponsored by EY Pele Movement. EY Pele Movement is a ministry where we focus on your spiritual, your physical, and your financial well-being. EY Pele is a Yoruba word, Oduwa word, which means gentle character. Also, we focus on Ire Riri, which is good character, which is also an Oduwa word, or some know as a Yoruba word. We thank you so much for tuning in for today's program. We're going to be talking about what does marriage look like. Again, what does marriage look like? As we all know, a lot of us have our own perspective about what that looks like. And sometimes it can cause problems in a relationship. And sometimes it doesn't, because they both have the same view. And we're going to talk about that. Again, make sure that you go to El Kebalan Lifestyle. We have a sale going on in the store. We have a 10% discount sale going on right now of the entire store in honor of the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So stay tuned for the ride as we talk about this relationship. Every Friday, we're going to bring this relationship information to you every single Friday. And we're going to have a hot topic for you as it relates to that. We'll be back very soon.
right?
We're here to service your African men's and women's clothing, accessories, health, and wellness product needs. Visit alkebulanlife.com.
Again, it's on once again, family. We're going to be talking about what does marriage look like on today. But first, we want to give honor to our ancestors. So we want to say Majuba Agungun, and to our ancestors known and unknown before us who laid down their lives, those who fought to maintain our traditions and for us to also regain our spiritual, physical, and financial well-being. We want to give thanks. Also, we want to say Kinka Mache to you and your Mache.
Let nothing negative happen.
Also, we see curses.
Let there be no curses.
See sickness.
Let there be no sickness.
See disease.
Let there be no diseases.
Poverty spiritually and financially.
See poverty spiritually and financially.
See death.
See, let there be no death.
Ashe. Hey, we getting it down, family. We're working on it, family. We're working on being African around here, family.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. Yes, indeed, family. So we get ready to dive in. We got the subject matter for you. What does marriage look like? And my queen, we had a very, very, very interesting dialogue in this regard. And so we're going to talk about this from a cultural perspective. Okay, so over in the motherland, you have polyandry, and those are the groups there that participate, but not limited to. Okay, polyandry, and what that is when a woman can have multiple husbands. Okay, multiple husbands. All right, then we have polygyny, and we have polygamy. Okay, polygamy is when a man can have multiple wives, right? And polygyny is just a Greek word that pretty much talks about many, and it also means men. Okay, so that means that the woman can marry many men. So, you know, we wanted to come at this from a cultural perspective as well, and we just wanted to have this dialogue with you. Okay, remember, it's not a monologue. You know what I'm saying? It is a dialogue. We want to hear from you. You know, your views. We all don't have to agree on everything. We ask that you would please be mature and be respectful of others' viewpoints. Okay. Now as for us, our family, our household, we are spiritual people. So we look at it from a cultural perspective. We don't look at it from a religious perspective. We look at it from a cultural perspective. Okay. Now, as for my queen and I, we had this discussion and she had this concern when I became more familiar with our spirituality. You know what I'm saying? We had this discussion. I'm just keeping it real. We had this discussion, in regards to, what is, my views in regards to that, you know what I'm saying? And so I was honest with her. I'm like, listen, I don't disagree with it. However, it's not for me. You understand? I'm a one woman man. That's the way I was raised. Okay. I'm not used to that. Okay. And I'm not knocking anybody that is a practitioner of polygamy. I myself personally, I know the reason why that they do it. There is in a cultural standpoint, not a lustful thing. See, we got to understand, some of us, we try to label when men is having sex with multiple women, that is polygamy. That is not polygamy. That's just a man that has lust
That's
and just trying. Thank you. That's trying to fulfill his sexual desires. Okay. Now, when you're dealing with polygamy, it is a covenant, okay, between those two women or how many ever women it is, okay, that they come to an agreement with culturally. Okay. Then the first wife is the one who blesses the other ones. They have some say in these other wives. You know what I'm saying? And you bring your resources together. Okay. And that's really the thing right there with them. Also, it was considered to be rather a sign of power as well. Okay. One who has many wives in the motherland is considered to be one with great wealth as well. So it also represented wealth when you deal with polygamy. Okay. Now, dealing with that, I know that a lot of us were raised in Christendom, and so we want to deal with these things. We want to have these discussions because biblically, and my queen, I want her to talk about this because she overheard something as well as it relates to one wife, right? You know what I'm saying? So we got the Old Testament where some people, have read, we were taught that the Old Testament, but we weren't taught, to have more than one wife, even though it does exist in the Bible. You understand what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Abraham and David and so many others amongst so many others that had multiple wives. You understand? Solomon, you know what I'm saying? It's in there, right? It's in there. And so, but then, those of us who raised in Christianity, you have the text in the New Testament that says, let a man be the husband of one wife. So some people, they govern their lives by that. And some people like to judge other people, based on their religion, when those who follow after it according to their culture. You understand what I'm saying? And so that you must understand is not a African text. That's not an African book. However, my queen, she found out something interesting. So we want to talk to us about that, like what you found out, you overheard them talk about the person.
We'll have to come back to that one.
Okay, in regards to there's an Odu. In regards to from what you overheard in regards to being single.
Okay.
Being married to one person.
Well, in the Odu that we went over, according to our spiritual practice, they are allowed to have more than one wife, but the Odu says it's better to be married to one woman because of all of the turmoil that happens in the home. So that's basically what it says.
Now, do you want to expound about the relationships?
About what?
Relationships, about marriage.
For me, when it comes down to marriage to me is it means the unity on a physical, mental, and spiritual plane. And I'm not one for the polyandry or the polygamy because I'm trying to connect. I want to connect spiritually with one individual. And I realize that when you have the masculine and the feminine to come together, that, you have a tendency to make a whole. And so as for, having that with several men or my husband having it with several women, it's not the thing to do. It's not what I want to do.
Okay. And so, she and I, we had that discussion, you know what I'm saying? And, it was a legitimate concern. So why are we addressing this? I like to be realistic about things, and just share some things with you because, we've had a discussion about it, and it wasn't a heated discussion. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing like that. It was just a concern, you know what I mean? Which is legitimate, and I myself personally, I was honest. I was like, well, I don't disagree with it, but it's not something that I desire. And here's the reason why, because I wasn't raised that way. I had to be realistic about that. I would literally be forcing myself, you know what I'm saying, and to try to practice something, even though it's my culture. Okay. I will be forcing myself to practice something that I know that I wasn't raised to practice. You understand what I'm saying? And then you got to think about my wife. She don't desire that at all. You know what I'm saying? So I have to respect that. And even if she didn't have any problem with it, you know what I mean? I personally I wouldn't want to deal with that. I wouldn't want to deal with that because it's enough with you dealing with your own personality. Okay. And then you got to deal with your white personality. And not only that, then you got to deal with multiple personalities because, you know what I'm saying, you got all these different personalities you got to deal with. And people are still human. It doesn't matter that it's a tradition or a culture. You know what I'm saying? Part of culture. You know what I'm saying? People are actually human. They have their own emotions. They have their own feelings. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes jealousy can set in. And I literally looked at documentaries of, women who that is their culture. And that did actually happen. You know what I'm saying? And it did cause problems, you know what I'm saying, amongst them. Now, I'm not telling nobody not to again, because to me personally, in my personal opinion, it's just my opinion. Okay. I personally don't see anything wrong with it. I personally don't desire to do it because of what I just aforesaid. I know I'm a one woman man. That's the way I've been raised. You know what I'm saying? And I personally don't feel like I don't feel like dealing with all that. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. You know what I'm saying? That's not something I personally feel like I need to do, because another reason it said that they do it, is so they can gain wealth. You understand what I'm saying? So that's another reason. And I see no reason for me to do it because my queen and I are building wealth and there is no third party involved. There is no third party involved. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, wait a minute, what about Beyonce and Jay-Z? They rich. You know what I'm saying? They're billionaires. Is there a third party? There's no third party. You understand what I'm saying? So it doesn't make sense to me for me to do that for that reason, when I know that I don't need to do that to be able to do that. Queen, you got anything else you want to say in regards to?
Nothing in regards to polyandry or polygamy. I'm just gonna say, based upon, especially us in the West, we this is not what we do, and especially those that claim certain religious beliefs. This is not something that we do. And then not only that, it's so ingrained in us in the West that we are married to one person. So when you marry one or more person, you're liable to be put in jail. It's bigamy or what have you. I mean, so it's so ingrained in us to be allegedly, when it comes down to be married to marriage, to be legally married to one person. And over in Africa, there's 52 countries, 52 or more countries. There's thousands of languages. There's different ethnic groups. There's different cultures, and they all practice what they practice within their culture. There's polyandry, as he spoke about, and there's polygamy on the different tribes or the different natives or the different people there. So just my take on it is, I'm of a Western world, and we practice being legally married to one person.
And see, I like that, because we got to deal with those various perspectives. Some people, in a relationship, in marriage, they seen their mom and their dad, right? And the mom, she stayed home and the dad worked. right? And then you have relationships where, like that I seen growing up, you know what I'm saying? Like my auntie Queen Esther and my uncle Ronnie, you know what I'm saying? Both of them worked. You know what I'm saying? With my mom, when my mother was married, both of them worked. My mother and my stepfather worked. You know what I mean? And so I think that, you know, when it comes to it, it's opinionative, really. You know what I'm saying? There, to me, there's no blanketed marriage identity, if you will. You know what I mean? It's all about perspective. It has a lot to do with the way you were raised. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, my uncle actually helped do chores around the house. My grandfather helped to do chores around the house. My stepfather helped to do chores around the house, right? So for myself, I never looked at a woman as she is the only one that does these type of things. Not only that, all of the above men I mentioned also cooked. They also cooked. So for myself, what I've been exposed to is what actually shaped my thinking as it relates to the structure of how a marriage actually looks. And so what I notice is a lot of times people, they come and they come with a dogmatic approach to marriage, right? There's this cookie cutter mentality that we have. And so I wanted to expose you to, you know, these various cultures, like the ethnic groups that I have on the screen for you right now, where in that culture, the young men that's raised in that culture, they're used to a woman having more than one husband. So to a person that is raised in that spectrum of thinking, to them, there's nothing wrong with it. But to a person that's not married into a culture like that, okay, you know, they will look at it as that's off. Like when my queen, she told me, I was like, what? Hey, you know, my Western mind, you understand? See, I got to be realistic about things. A lot of times we speak the way we speak, rather, because of the way that our mind has been programmed to think. You understand what I'm saying? Like sometimes we get mad at that type of stuff. Literally, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, why? Why are you upset about that? Why are you upset about a woman who can have more than one husband? But people don't get mad when a man, you know what I'm saying, a brother don't get upset when the man can have more than one female. You see, something is wrong with that. Something is wrong with that. You understand what I'm saying? And it's the way that we have been programmed, you know, as African people who have been born in a Eurocentric way of life. You know, now had we been exposed to that, we would not be saying, for it is written in the New Testament, you know, that a husband should only have one wife. We wouldn't be saying why, because that is not an African teaching.
Yeah, the way people are married and their thoughts of what marriage is not universal.
There we
go. Everybody doesn't think like you. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. More people don't think like you than you do think like you. You know, this globe is just so huge. There's different, you know, corridors. There's different areas in this whole entire world that people just practice their lives differently. And you say, oh, that's wrong, but that's according to your Christian perspective. Everybody is not Christian. Everybody is not spiritual. Everybody has their own way of dealing with things. They have their own religions. They have their own thoughts. You know, I know there is a verse that says your thoughts are not like my thoughts. And you can best believe that your thoughts are not like their thoughts. And they have grown up for thousands of years practicing these different traditions and these different ways of life. You know, you can't just,
that's right.
What happened when they were colonized, they had imposters to come and redo the way that they lived their lives. We can't just thrust our thinking upon any of them. you know, and mandatory is mandatory if you do this. You know, it's mandatory that you do that. You know, that's being barbaric. That's just burning yourself into someone's life and, you know, upon it.
Absolutely. And sometimes people have this fantasy that they have about marriage. And I had dealt with that in a prior relationship. And it was more like I felt more like a father than I felt like a husband. You understand what I'm saying? Because, you know, I'm used to being in a relationship where both partners have responsibilities and share those responsibilities. And I wasn't raised in a wealthy family. Okay. So it wasn't like I had a whole lot of monies for me to be able to take care of a woman like that. You understand? You know, so it caused problems, you know, because, you know, in her mind, and we never discussed that either. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we had the discussion that she would work, right? That she would, you know, do her part. But after we had gotten married, it didn't work out like that. It was, well, you're the husband, you know what I'm saying? You're supposed to take care of me. You know what I'm saying? I'm your responsibility, you know, and we ended up getting a divorce over that. I'm serious. We really did. We ended up getting a divorce over that because, you know what I'm saying? As adults, we both have a responsibility, you know, in the household. That's just my view. Okay, now listen, for those who the man make enough money, I'm never going to tell you you need to get up and go get a job. Okay, because if that woman, if you're perfectly fine with that, you know what I'm saying? Then that's what it is. You know what I mean? I would never say, well, women should work. No. If that brother can afford to take care of you and he makes enough money, you know what I'm saying? To take care of you, then so be it. So be it. You know what I mean? I learned how to keep my opinion out of certain things. You know what I'm saying? Because some people, that's what they have come to an agreement on. You know what I mean? And if you come to that agreement on that, then you know, wonderful. But make sure there's no hidden, you know, agenda. Make sure, you know what I'm saying, that you don't hold back what you really think marriage is, and then you flip the script. Once you get married, and then this person looking at you for the man and the woman, now that you know this person looking at you like there's a stranger in my house. Like, who? What? Wait a minute, this is not what we talked about. You know, we talked about we was going to work together as a team. You know what I'm saying, to work this dream, for this dream to come to fruition. Queen.
You know, just listening to your story about your previous marriage, it just brought out so many different points at what may have happened during that time. Number one, there's unrealistic expectations. There was an expectation that was put on you to be, you know, everything, to be somebody's father, to be somebody's provider, to just, you know, do a whole lot of extra things that probably could have been agreed upon properly prior to marriage. So sometimes we go into marriage with in unrealistic expectation, expecting someone to be your savior, expecting someone to be your king, your everything, to wait on you hand and foot. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. That's not how it goes. You know, they may do it for a little while, and sometimes they may get, you know, mad or harbor emotions in regards to those unrealistic expectations. But we need to go into a marriage with love and respect, with honor, with loyalty. You know, those are some of the things that we should expect out of marriage, because there's ups and downs, there's ins and outs. Every day ain't Sunday within a marriage. And we have to know that, and we have to expect that. And when some of those things happen, we should not be expecting to run to divorce court. You know, according to what they are. There's some things that you just because I disagree with him doesn't mean that I go to divorce court. Just because we have a disagreement doesn't mean I pack my bags and hit the road. You know what I'm saying? So when you come into a marriage, you need to come with a mindset of this is where I'm going to plant or throw my anchor out. This is where I'm going to stay. It's not this on one day off the next type thing, when it comes to marriage and true devotion. Another thing that I noticed that in the relationship that he spoke about before, that they were not on one accord, were not in agreement. The goals were not there. The track, they weren't on the same page. They weren't on the same road, And so when you're not on the same page and you're not on the same road, your relationship will go awry. Mm-hmm. There has to be a meeting of the minds.
That's right.
There has to be some agreement. They say, how could two walk together except they agree? We're not going to agree on everything. But right. The main thing is the main thing. That's you see right. what I'm saying? Though right. There are some things that are detrimental, some things that you have to, at least come to some type of agreement in order to go forward. Now we are political buffs, right? And we look at the Congress right now. We have the Democrats and the Republicans, and they're pulling against one another and not going nowhere. You see what I'm saying? And when you're in a relationship and when you're in a marriage, you're pulling against each other. You ain't going nowhere fast. You understand? You want to be on one accord. So when you do come together, it will be like rocket fuel. I always say this, like rocket fuel to launch you both spiritual, physically, naturally to a new level. One other thing that he was talking about, we have to realize that everybody's relationship and everybody's marriage is not the same. Mm-hmm. Michelle married Barack. Diane married Eddie. You see what I'm saying? Everybody's relationship is not the same. We're not cookie cutters. Just because they do it down the block that way, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen like that on this side. Mm-hmm. We have to do what's best for this house. Mm-hmm. Our situations are different. Our finances are different. You know what I'm saying? We have different goals. We have different dreams. We have different aspirations. We have different upbringing. Mm-hmm. So when we get together and we get on one accord and we come with realistic expectations, we can go forward in a powerful marriage.
That's right, family. So we thank you so much for tuning in for this marriage session on today. We'll be coming on again every single Friday, bringing to you some relationship topics, that we would love for you to get engaged with. We want to hear your views. About how do you feel? What does marriage look like to you? Let us hear from you. We want to hear your feedback. Also let us know what topic you would like to hear us talk about. As well. We would love to bring some topics to you, family, that you all are interested in. So this is again our date weekend. We are out of here. We look forward to seeing you on next week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Remember, we have the programs in the AM. Okay, Monday and Wednesday will be more like spiritual, topical type of information. And also it'll be financial information. So you can look to hear about those two topics on Mondays and Wednesdays. But on Fridays, this is going to be straight relationship, topical subject matters, because as we all know, we're hurting as it relates to the family structure. And so we want to build a solid foundation for our family within the community. So that way we can start birthing healthy children, sending them out into the community, our children with a healthy mindset, and so they too can raise a healthy family as well. And we hope that in some cases we can even save some marriages, also helping people to avoid marrying the wrong one, so the marriage won't have to be saved.
Save you a lot of money.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about some things. So single people, you're not out of the picture. We're gonna share with you how do we know that we were the one for each other, how we prepared ourselves, to be ready for each other. So stay tuned. We love you. Be blessed.